time.
I'm going to immediately start talking about my favorite movie, That Darn Cat. So just so
All
everyone
right, well, that's how we were opening the podcast. Jason, talking about it. Jason, you can go on. You continue to talk about That Darn Cat. That was actually the first thing right when the broadcast goes on. So this podcast is actually not going to be about the NFL. This is going to be all about the 1990 film That Darn Cat, the remake, not the original from the 50s.
Yes, yeah, how good it was. My dad actually lost sleep over taking us to that movie because it was so poor.
Really?
Yeah, he actually took us from that movie to Spider-Man because he was so angry. So we actually saw two movies in for one ticket. So I feel like I should turn myself in right now to the GOP.
Well, that does not add up because Spider-Man didn't come out until years later.
Yeah. No.
So anyway,
you just came to theater for 10 years.
All right, so this is Hot Takes spelled horrifically wrong. Episode 1. You've already heard Jason talk about That Darn Cat. Austin's here. The ethnically ambiguous Austin.
I'm not black. In case anybody was wondering.
Yeah, no, I was. What can I say?
So, yeah, we're just talking about the NFL, and mainly we're just going to talk about Nick Foles the entire time because Austin is wearing a Nick Foles shirtsy.
You know,
how much was that? Was that $5?
It was $5.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a Rodney Pete jersey? That's pretty cool.
I don't own a Rodney Pete. I do have a Mike Mamula.
Mike, oh wow. Probably
you know, he really wasn't that bad. It was really that his expectations were like sky high and it was the worst pick of all time. But he really wasn't terrible.
Dude, this content is just killer right now. So far, we've talked about Mike Mamula and That Darn Cat.
Andy Reid has like 5 picks worse than Mike Mamula in the first round. 5 first-round picks worse than Mike Mamula.
I think Andy Reid is one of the worst people in the NFL to date.
He proved that on Thursday night.
That's just a typical Andy Reid game. Like, this is an Andy Reid game. Ready? Hang around. Whether it's a good team or a bad team, you just kind of mush your way through the game, just blowing every goddamn time out under the sun. And then at the end of the game, you do something horrific. Like you kick from your own 6-yard line. Accident. Oh, why would we do that? It's only second down. Andy does that. That's what happens.
What was the purpose of that run? But there is no way you can justify that because what is Jamal Charles going to bring up an 80-yard run at the end of the game?
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Also, if you're going to just run it to run the clock out, he also risked just an injury to Jamal Charles. Just put Kyle Davison. What a stupid thing. He doesn't run the ball ever, and then he does.
Hand it to the fullback. Make Keith Evans proud.
I hope Heath Evans watches this podcast.
Well, Heath Evans has been just been proven right with.
That's what sucks. That these idiots that just guessed are gonna act like they're geniuses.
It's horrible because they think that they're winning. They think that they're right because about the offensive concept of Chip Kelly, but they're not. They're actually wrong about the offensive concept. It's a great concept. They just don't have talent enough on the offensive line. That's what I'm seeing.
I just don't think he's calling enough different plays. They always know what's coming because if Ertz is in, they're not going to run it because Ertz can't block. If Sproles is in there, just prepared for a pass.
Yeah,
he just shows his cards.
At this point, it's like, why did you even sign Ryan Matthews? Sproles gets way more snaps, and also, like you said, whenever Sproles is in, it's like, oh, this is definitely going to be a pass. It's like a dead giveaway.
Yep. Just from a talent lineup, anyway. Like if you think about it this way, we didn't even need DeMarco Murray, right? Because if his system is plug and play, then you don't need to go out and spend the money on DeMarco Murray. I'm glad that we have it. I think it's exciting. It was a great offseason. But, what if your lineup is Ryan Matthews, Chris Polk, Darren Sproles, Kenyon Barner? We're able to tag Macklin with the extra money that we have and maybe go out and get an offensive lineman.
Who was that guard from the Broncos or something?
Evan Mathis.
Zane Beatles, I think it was. Yeah.
Wait, so I'm not really sure that. From what I heard, I don't know. I watched the other night. Evan Mathis didn't have a great game. Not saying that Andrew Gardner is an improvement. Obviously, he is, and he's a huge downgrade. But it seems like so far, like you were saying earlier, Jason. Jason Kelsey, who is just former Pro Bowler center, also has been playing like complete garbage.
I
it's not
thought he
only
looked worse than Gardner did on Sunday.
that's
I
what
thought
everyone's
Kelsey was the
saying.
worst offensive lineman there.
Yeah, I mean the fact
I'm not
that
really sure why he looks so bad. Like there's two options really, or two reasons why we would look this bad. One, he's injured and he got an injury in training camp, and they're either trying to keep it hush hush, or his numbers are just through the charts because he's so athletic that it's just going unnoticed. Or two, the injuries he's had, which he's had a ton of surgeries, especially around his like groin area, has slowed him down enough or limited his power where he's getting blown off the line. I think it's the latter. Because there's no reason for Jason Kelsey to be struggling when healthy. There's none. There's nobody in the league that's going to be able to do that to him.
Okay.
Unless he's trying to carry the guy next to him who's just like horrible and looks like he has no idea what he's doing on every play.
Yeah, he's just every time when they go to do the snap, Andrew Gardner is hiccuping very loudly, and it's really throwing off Jason Kelsey's snap count. Is what's happening. So
I didn't hear that at all, but Jason's audio keeps cutting out for me, but it probably was a good joke. So anyway, moving on from last week onto this week, the Eagles play the Jets, who looked very, very good last night against the Colts. And we saw some people earlier talking about how they think the Eagles are going to win, just somehow win the game. How does that happen?
Today, it's gonna just start now. They're just gonna play better now. That's what it is. They're just
gonna be good.
Yeah, they're just gonna be better now. I think there's no way. I think there's absolutely no. In fact, even if the Eagles had blown both the Cowboys and the Falcons out, I still thought this was a game we were going to lose because we don't match up well at all. With the new guys that we have and their ability to cover the perimeter, defensively, unless Ertz has an enormous game, there's no way that we're going to be able to do what we like to do.
And he was completely shut down in the last game.
Yeah.
And like Cooper and Huff and Aguilar haven't been able to get off, haven't been able to get open against much worse.
Wait, they haven't been able to get off? Did Austin froze? Dude, this podcast is going like literally. This is better than.
Are we live?
Yeah.
I didn't even know we were live.
Yeah, dude, we're live.
I'm kidding.
Oh. You keep cutting out. Jason keeps cutting out. Your face is just frozen.
It's looking good though.
Yeah, it looks good. So
Anyway.
I don't know if you're even still there.
Basically, I'll go back really quick to why I think the Eagles are not going to do well this week. It's because the defensive line for the Jets is the best in the NFL, matching up arguably against the worst offensive line in the NFL right now. It's really no secret. There's literally not a chance they're going to be able to move that line backwards at any portion of the game, unless they're running so many plays that they're able to wear them out. But you have to have positive plays to run a ton of plays. Like, you can't go 3 and out. So at every corner, there's a brick wall for me at this game. It's going to be like one of those, like, 23-9 games. You know what I mean? We might get in a few times.
It seems like a complete matchup nightmare, especially considering that the Jets couldn't really get anything going on the ground against the Colts, and they still could pass the ball. It just incredibly efficient. I mean, you said earlier that Eric Decker might miss the game, but Brandon Marshall, who's going to cover Brandon Marshall?
Carrie Williams' brother, Byron Maxwell, is going to cover it.
Nnamdi Carey Maxwell. They're all the same person.
It's literally insane that this is at least the third time since Asante Samuel's left, and even his last few years he didn't play great. But since Asante Samuel left, that was the last time that the Eagles had even close to a shutdown corner. And he's not even. I mean, by definition, he was more of a playmaking corner.
And DRC sucked here, and now he's like decent on the Jets.
Yeah, or the Giants. Yeah, he's
Giants.
Good. I mean, he had a very solid. So is it just the Eagles' luck, or I mean, Kerry Williams had a huge play in the first game against the Rams. Sacked Nick Foles, ran it back for a touchdown.
Nick Foles. Fuck Nick Foles forever.
Well,
So
I mean,
is it Billy
sacking
Davis?
Nick Foles like even an achievement?
True. But then again, I mean, it wasn't like he just ran straight at him. I'm not saying Kerry Williams made like some sort of like.
It's like a good defensive call. They're like, he'll never see this coming ever.
Yeah.
It really was amazing, the play where he didn't even look. Like, he never checked both sides before he was backing up. He literally just turned his body like this and started staring at the moon, and then just got destroyed by one of the worst cornerbacks in Eagles history.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is we keep saying that these guys are terrible, and outside of Nnamdi Asomugha, everyone who's left the team, at least when they were on other teams, haven't looked as terrible. I mean, like you said, DRC, Kerry Williams, and then every broadcast you see, Troy Aikman kept bringing it up the other day. The Eagles' corners play softer than any. How do you let Brandon Weeden throw a slant to Terrence Williams? And Brandon Weeden threw a slant at the end of the game for a touchdown, for a 40-yard touchdown. Like, it's just like unforgivable at this point. There's no way that Byron Maxwell couldn't be that bad. He was just playing such soft coverage, and that's not on him.
I think he's overrated. He's overrated number 2. That's what he is.
And you just want to blame Billy Davis because you don't know why. It just doesn't make sense why their corners are this bad consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like we said, I mean, in other systems, the cornerbacks have been not insanely terrible. They haven't been great, but I mean, they just blend in.
Bradley Fletcher.
Yeah, well, Bradley Fletcher is very bad. But
he's going to win the Super Bowl this year
with Pat Chung.
He is. Patrick Chung and Bradley Fletcher are going to win the Super Bowl together because that's what happens.
True.
It is literally amazing. Here's what I don't fucking stand. Why do Philadelphia fans, why can they never be happy? And I know there's other really shitty franchises like the Browns and who cares? I don't care about the Browns. Their fans are garbage. They only have 3 teams. Philadelphia fans are sad all year round. Always.
I don't think that the Browns have trash fans. I feel like the Browns have
endure as much as we do. They've LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
Okay, gotcha.
They're sad sometimes, and the Indians are probably decent. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you look around the sports landscape right now, Philadelphia fans have it by far the worst. The Phillies are like they're an embarrassment. They're not even a real team right now. The Flyers are what they are. The Sixers, Sam Hinkie, this fraudulent god. You should have seen the people on Twitter today trying to defend him in my mentions. It was the weirdest thing I've ever. He's done nothing. Listen, if you want to praise him when he does stuff, fantastic. He hasn't done a single thing. So we can ride it out. I'm not saying fire him. I'm saying, can we get off of him for a little bit and find out what he has? This is ridiculous.
Okay. I thought this was an NFL podcast.
Well, I know. It was a hot take. And
that was any
hot take. The hot take's hot enough to melt steel beams. So, no, going back to, let's transition on to some other teams. Going back to what we were saying about Brandon Weeden, the Cowboys just traded for Matt Castle today. They got Matt Castle on a 7th-round pick for a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
Jason thinks the trade isn't a bad deal.
Yeah, I actually think it's a good deal. I think that it's a great bridge. I think they can win at least 4 games.
I think it's a horrible deal.
So do I.
I don't see how you can give up an asset for Matt Castle, who's never shown anything
outside of a Bill Belichick system.
If you're looking at an asset as what it I think it's 22 draft picks that Chip Kelly's had in 3 years or something like that. 10 were playing in week 2. 10 were active. So how important is a 5th-round pick, right?
I don't think that a 5th-round pick is necessarily important, but if you trust your draft, you trust the people who are drafting for you, you can get some depth there, whereas you're probably just getting a throwaway quarterback who might not start a game. I mean, he's not going to be able to step in right away. He's going to have to learn the system. Let's say he plays in 2 or 3 weeks. Let's just say, whatever. Is he any better than Brandon Weeden? I don't know. I mean, we've seen
probably
him
a little bit, but only because Brandon Weeden is
Brandon
piece of dog
is
shit.
The oldest. He's the old man when you're playing flag football or something that wants to play with you, and then you're like, all right, that's fine, and then he ruins the game because he's literally the worst player on earth. That's Brandon Weeden.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm not saying Brandon Weeden is good by any means, but we have no idea really. I mean, we've seen him in very short doses or in small doses with the Cowboys, and then we've seen him in Cleveland. And Cleveland is a quarterback wasteland. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
I think he played one game, and that was the one game they scored 3 points.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I think they scored like 3 points last year when they played them for like one game.
Brandon Whedon, they scored 17 points, but he had a really bad
Oh.
game. They lost to the Cardinals like 28-17, I think I read earlier. But he did terrible. I mean, he had the worst quarterback rating of anyone in the NFL that day. He had a really, really bad game. I'm not defending Brandon Whedon, but what I'm saying is, I don't know. I look at Matt Castle and I go, he can throw a football forward. That he doesn't do anything.
No,
He's just a game manager.
I think that Dallas gets a lot of deserved flack throughout their history for, just their horrendous picks and Jerry Jones. But if you look at them lately, outside of losing DeMarco Murray, which is definitely going to come back to haunt them, their offensive line is really solid. They've been making pretty solid picks on defense. Byron Jones seems to have some talent. Their defensive line is actually okay. I mean, Sean Lee's obviously the glue there.
Are they okay, or are they going up against Andrew Gardner?
I mean, I don't know. And they went up against no one in the first game too. But my thing is, I'm inclined to go. If it's Jerry making the decision, then Matt Castle sucks. If it's not him, then I'm wondering, like, what do they see? Maybe they see something in Matt Castle that can hold. Remember, he's not gonna play once Romo comes back, and he's not gonna be on the Cowboys for more than a starter. Is he better than Kyle Orton? I don't know. Maybe, and they did okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I just look at it like the NFC East is so bad that I mean the NFC East might be the worst division I've ever seen. Like at this point, it's like you look.
I don't know. The AFC South will give you a run.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say the AFC South for years has been complete garbage. It's the Colts just win the division by default every year. I mean, they have a quarterback. That's the only thing.
The South last year was horrible, dude.
The AFC South last year?
The NFC South was like a devoid of real talent.
Oh, right.
I think the didn't the
NFC
Panthers
West?
win it with like 6 games?
7-9-1, I think, or 7-8-1 or something. Or yeah, didn't they have a tie last year?
Yep. They
and they hosted a home playoff.
Which
that makes no sense.
It is a joke. Yeah, if we're talking about overrated and terrible teams, the Indianapolis Colts, who I've been calling them frauds for years, finally Grigson, the light is being cast on him to show what a horrific GM he is. He's literally grabbing the worst players in the league, but because he does it a lot, the media's like, what a great GM. He's grabbing a bunch of no-name players, wedging them into a scheme that doesn't fit, and then going, wow, what a great job I've done.
We see this over and over. It's not only just GMs that get the credit for this, but it's these mastermind genius coaches like Mike McCarthy, where it's like Mike McCarthy is a terrible coach. He has the best quarterback in maybe NFL history in Aaron Rodgers, probably a top 5 to top 10 quarterback right now and could potentially be the best ever. And they continue to make him look better, and that's what Luck's done with Grigson and with Pagano. Pagano wasn't a good coach.
Did you know what Pagano said last night?
Yeah.
They're like, well, how was your offensive line that bad or something? And he's like, well, I mean, Luck should be used to it by now. His excuse was that he should be used to it being that bad.
They said that they thought that was more of a dig at Grigson than it was at Luck.
Well,
because Grigson is the one who builds the offensive line, and he basically, just has been plugging in random fucking people. So yeah, but I don't know how he should just be used to being thrown into the ground by 300-pound men.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Also, bad coaches eventually their weaknesses will shine through. So much that Mike McCarthy demoted himself this year. He demoted himself on play calling duties. That's how bad Mike McCarthy is. That Mike McCarthy didn't want Mike McCarthy calling plays this year. Seriously, might as well just let Aaron Rodgers do it, or you know what? Maybe John Kuhn. Everybody in Green Bay, all the fat people in Green Bay seem to love John Kuhn, the fullback.
Well, to be fair, most of the people in Green Bay have type 2 diabetes.
It's true.
And 100% of them are white.
Yeah, but no, we've seen this over and over. I forget who it was. I want to say it was Trill Ballins on Twitter because he's an Indianapolis Colts fan. He said that, a few years ago they should have fired Chuck Pagano and hired Bruce Arians, but they couldn't because he had cancer.
I know.
Like, realistically, Irsay just didn't want to be the biggest dick of all time.
Yeah.
So
he was so troubled over that decision, he did a bunch of pills in his car and kept $30,000 cash on him at all times.
But
Yeah.
no, but realistically, I think what you can really take from the first few weeks of the season, the Colts looking terrible, the Eagles looking terrible, which were two of the hot Super Bowl picks. The Dolphins have looked awful too. They were another team, another
I thought they
bad
were going to be
coach.
good this year.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everyone thought they were going to be like, surprise team
Philbin.
AFC East.
Fire Joe Philbin. I don't know why they hold on to these horrible coaches. Joe Philbin's scheme's not working. They're not gonna. It's like Matt Castle. He's never gonna figure it out. It's
Because there's
over.
only like 4 good coaches in the entire league.
I know. So get rid of this one because he's terrible. That's why I didn't understand what they were doing with Andy for the last 4 years. Get rid of him. Bye. We're getting
Yeah. And it's the same thing. I mean, we're seeing that with rehashes of quarterbacks too. It's like, why isn't Josh McCown good? It's like he's never been good.
Never been good. He was good for 4 games.
Yeah.
One time.
Him and
Yeah.
Foles were good at
So
the
was
same
Joe
time.
Flacco. Yeah, they were, and it was weird. But then the Eagles beat the shit out of the Bears. Was McCown starting that
I
game?
think Cutler played that game.
Cutler played. Well, that also makes
Yeah.
sense. He's not good.
That was one of the highs of the Chip Kelly era, and I feel like we should go back and watch tape on that because what the hell is happening now in comparison to that?
Well, it's probably a little bit of adjustment, and
Yes.
I mean he's lost talent. People don't want to admit it, but he has. I mean, you don't get, and I know people keep saying, "Oh, we got it." The team from last year wasn't good, and I'm not saying that they were. I think they were worse than what their record was. But at the same time, and he hasn't really had any signature wins over the course of his first 2 years. He's had like 1 or 2 good wins. But at the same time, you look at the players that he did have, and I know Deshaun Jackson wasn't a character guy. They wanted to keep Macklin. They got rid of McCoy. I mean, these are all understandable moves, but at the same time, they're all very talented. Take away the off-the-field stuff, take away whatever. And I'm not saying that the guys on the team aren't talented now, but they really have no proven wide receivers. They have a shit offensive line, and they just keep trying to patch up these holes that they have on the team at cornerback and their offensive line, and they're just two important positions that you can't do that with. Even with quarterback, I mean, I like Sam Bradford, but I just don't think that he is anything special.
And then people were blaming him on Sunday. I feel like he was like the least of my concerns, and not that he was good, but just everybody else was so much worse that he just never got in the rhythm, and he looked like he started forcing things.
Yeah,
seriously.
he looked extremely scared to play.
Yeah.
His eyes look like this all the time.
I know. When I was in high school and Sam Bradford was in college, I probably racistly thought he was Asian. But
I think he's Native American. He's just scared.
I guess. Oh, I'm not sure. Do you think they win, Austin?
This Sunday?
Yeah.
I think they do.
You're a crazy person.
The only reason that I think that they might win is because they want to give the fans false hope.
That's why I think they're going to win.
We won, we beat a good team, and then they go 4-12.
That's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to win for any logical reason, except that it would make the most sense for them to win a game they shouldn't when nobody's expecting them to, and give everybody okay, they're back, they figured it out, and then lose 4 straight.
Yeah. See, it's funny. You guys I'm a huge pessimist. You guys are like masochists. You're
No,
like,
I don't necessarily
snap us over their knee, and I'm like, they're just gonna.
Yeah, but also you're a pessimist to the point where it's like you said they'll go 0-16 until they prove. Like, I mean, they're not going to go 0-16.
They will. They're going to win at some point. But what I meant by that was, when I look at the schedule right now, if they play like they've played, I don't see a win. That's all. So as of right now,
that makes.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be as bad
sense.
as last Sunday because I've never seen a team play as bad as last Sunday. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
we have a I was alive for Ray Rhodes last year. It was still.
You were alive for it. We were like 10. you act like
you forget. I simmed the first part of my life. I Madden simmed it. So.
Oh, true. But no, I mean, the one thing I think we could take from the first few weeks is that, I don't know, I think there are 2 great teams in the NFL, and I think everyone else sucks. Really. I think the Packers and the Patriots are great, and everyone else is just a team. The Steelers have a really good offense. Teams have good offenses, good the Carolina Panthers have a really good defense. There are teams that have good but on both sides of the ball, the only teams that are good are, and we don't even know if the Patriots can last a full season with their secondary. I look at it like I don't think that the Colts and the Eagles start off 0-2. The Giants start off. These teams are starting off 0-2. The Seahawks are 0-2. There are so many teams that are 0-2, and I know the statistic is something like 14% of teams make the playoffs when they start 0-2, 12%, whatever. But I just don't think that is a stat that I'm like, oh, that's a definite. It's like, I don't know, that's just a stat to me. Yeah, of course, because bad teams start 0-2 normally. But I look at some teams around the NFL, I'm not including the Eagles in this, and I'm not necessarily even including the Colts, but I see teams like the Ravens, and I go, are they that bad? Or have they just started 2 games on the road, and, they've had 2 really close games, and, and then I look at the Seahawks, and it's the same thing, so if there's any year to be bad in the NFL, it's this year. Like, you can start off bad, you can not be a great team. I think you can still be decent, and you can still make a run at the playoffs, especially in a division that's as bad as the NFC East.
We'll see.
I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to get a first-round bye just based on how bad their division is and how easy their schedule is.
What junk? What absolute junk?
It's possible.
Froze.
The Saints are terrible. What's that?
My thing's freezing.
You froze a little bit.
It's whatever. You froze like 40 times in the middle of a thought, and I just like, okay. But no, I mean,
I think that the Eagles definitely lose this week. I think that eventually they'll right the ship enough to where we'll get false hope, but I think it'll be too late. I don't think it'll be this week. And I feel like we're gonna have to do some soul searching in the offseason. Well, not me. I already know. My life sucks because I'm an Eagles fan. But Chip Kelly and the front office, they're going to have to figure this out. They're going to have to put priority on where to
Chip's going to Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Chip's going to go to the New York Giants when they fire when Tom Coughlin goes back to hospice.
Chip's going to win 3 Super Bowls the second time he gets a head coaching job because that's how it works in Philly.
There you go.
He's going to lead Jeff Carter and Hunter Pence to 3 Super Bowls.
I hope I'm dead by the time this airs.
I think the Eagles will win this week, but like we said, not including any logic here. Like, it's not like because of I think the Jets are a way better team. I think it's a matchup nightmare, but it just seems like one of those games where it's just like they won, and I don't know, it just happens. It's the defense plays well. They get lucky here and there. I think they win, and then I think they're mediocre the rest of the season. I don't think they're as bad. I think that they've played worse than what their record's been somehow, being 0-2. But I also don't think that they're as bad as that. Like, they have the talent. They just need to be able to actually put it together on the field. But it's not just going to come together overnight. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they'll be mediocre. But overall, I still think, even with Brandon Weeden or Matt Castle at quarterback, I still think the Cowboys win the division.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today. I think the Redskins
Shut
could.
up. You're
I think the Redskins could.
No way.
Okay.
Literally not a chance.
Okay. This is all I have to say. Redskins have a decent defense, and when they can run the ball, they're going to be good. Kirk Cousins is a terrible quarterback. He's awful. I can't imagine them beating. I think at this point, is Matt Castle or Brandon Weeden any worse than him?
I think he is. I think Brandon Weeden's much worse than him.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
The Redskins have better weapons. They have a better running back than the Cowboys. Their offensive line's pretty good. They have better receivers than the Cowboys.
Wasn't that
Betts is out for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not saying that the Cowboys or any other team in the division has an advantage, but what I'm saying is, wasn't that the first game Kirk Cousins has won in the NFL?
Yeah.
That was his first game he's won.
First game that he started
and finished and won. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a sign of a bad quarterback. It's not necessarily, and they've had decent defense. He has weapons. It's not like he doesn't have Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson and Alfred Morris. It's Jordan Reed. Like, they have talent. He's just a bad quarterback. So I don't know. I think that the Cowboys
we should end our sign-offs. We should end our sign-offs just cursing out Pittsburgh. I think everyone.
I think the Steelers are going to be actually pretty good.
I think
fuck you and fuck Pittsburgh and fuck their fans is what I wanted to say.
I hate them.
Horrible, troll.
Wait, do you think that this? Jason said earlier he think the Steelers are going to have the best offensive football.
Yeah, they're just gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, Antonio Brown's one of the best receivers I've ever seen.
Antonio
I don't
Brown.
know how he's that good, but he's awesome.
And they just how many points did they put up the other day against the
43?
Niners?
Yeah.
Without Martavius Bryant and without Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell might be one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Darius Hayward-Bay scored a literal NFL touchdown.
No, he
was
didn't.
in the end zone holding the ball.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown
They let
caught
him-
it and handed it to
they
him.
let him
And they
score.
pretended he caught it.
It's like some type of angel, some touchdown angel. I know.
Did you guys see Heath Miller's stat the other day? He had 7 catches for 6 touchdowns and 4 yards.
It's amazing.
Normal stat line.
Pittsburgh. Do you think people in Pittsburgh deep fry their Heath Miller jerseys or no? You think that's a tactic that they do? When they're out there committing racist acts, I think they're wearing their deep fried Heath Miller jerseys.
They deep fry their
There's just
hands
one
and then they
guy on
bite their
Twitter.
fingernails.
Who every week he tweets that Mike Tomlin's an affirmative action hire.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he brings up a good point. I mean, he lives in Pittsburgh, so you got to take his opinion seriously.
Champion coach, Super Bowl champion head
Super-
coach was just a
Super
penny
Bowl
higher.
champion. All right, so I guess that is it for the first episode of Hot Takes. So I think this is going to go on YouTube or something. And so final picks. Jason says, what?
And everyone keep watching the show.
You didn't.
'cause it's-
And right before I end the broadcast, I want to say, Austin, you think they're going to win? I think the Eagles are going to win. Jason
I think
thinks
it's
they're
going to
going
be a
to lose.
resounding win. Like, they're going to kill them. Everybody's going to be like, okay, they figured
I
it
wouldn't go
out.
that far.
And then they're going to lose to the Redskins or Giants next week. It's just
That's
not
insane.
any logic
They
except
play
that that's
the
just what happens in
Redskins
Philly
and
all
the
the time.
Giants. So they play the Redskins and the Giants in the same week on that logic?
I don't know who they play the following week. It's either the Redskins or the Giants. I've only gone to the Jets.
Okay, I just want to end
Redskins.
on this note. Okay, it's the Redskins. I want to end on this note and say right before I hit the stop broadcast button, Jason didn't give a shout out to his girlfriend Katie.